Hello and welcome to another Magic the Gathering unboxing. Today I thought I'd try somewhere for unboxing where there's a little more natural light, so we'll see if we get a bit of even clearer results when I'm doing the filming. So this is the first of 5 videos which will be spread out over a week probably, and this is unboxings of the intro packs for Dragon's Maze. So first up, I'm going to take a look at Azorius Authority, which is white blue. Now, as always is currently the case with these intro packs, they also contain 2 boosters, so we'll be looking out for what sort of pulls we get in there as well. Let's open this pack up and have a look at the deck. Okay, so there's our 2 boosters. I'm just going to put them to one side for the moment. Just before we start to unpack this deck, I'm going to have a look and see about the deck suggestions so I can keep my eyes open for certain things. So it actually lists all 5 decks in the insert, but we're looking for the Azorius one. So we can see here, well, our base is 12 planes, 10 islands, and we've got some fixing through the inclusion of 4 Azorius guild gates. And I'm assuming because we've got Azorius here, we're going to have some detain, I think. So just see how clear that is on camera. So it looks like basically what you're doing is you're getting creatures out of your deck and using detain to lock down potential blockers, and also other cards that allow you to clear a path for attacks in other ways. You've also got flying creatures in here, so you've got evasion. So that's obviously difficult for your opponent to block if they don't have creatures with flying or reach or something that can deal with a flying creature. And then there's also various combat oriented tricks where you can pump your creatures or deflate your opponent's creatures in some way. And also it looks like there's some fuse stuff in here as well. And then further down there's suggestions for modifying the deck. So there's a suggestion for putting another legendary in here, Spirius Supreme Judge. And that's from Return to Ravnica. And also stuff from Innistrad. So you've got Geist of St. Traft, not surprisingly. 2/2 for 1 white and a blue, so fix in with this colour scheme in this deck, and it creates a 4/4 angel each time it attacks. So that's the sort of overview of the deck. So let's actually open this up. You can see at the front here we have our legendary creature. Each one of these intro decks for this particular set, for the Dragon's Maze set, has a legendary creature in it in the appropriate guild colours. So obviously this is for Azorius. Okay, so Lavinia of the 10th, 3 white blue for 4/4, also has protection from red. When Lavinia of the 10th enters the battlefield, detain each non-land permanent your opponent control with converted mana cost 4 or less. And just to refresh anybody that's not familiar with detain, so in the reminder text we've got until your next turn those permanents can't attack or block and their activated abilities can't be activated. And we have an Azorius Arrester, which also has an enter the battlefield trigger on it with detain, and there are 2 of those. Silvercoat Lion, plain vanilla, 2/2 for 1 and a white, and there's a complement of those. There's 3 of those. Has the snare squad, so you can use this also in its ability. When it attacks, you can pay an extra extra white, and you can use that to tap a creature and opponent controls. So you can see there's lots of ways of sort of tapping down or detaining creatures in this deck. So there's 2 of those. Stealer of Secrets. It's got card draw on it for whenever it does combat damage. 2 of those. Windrake, so that's one of your creatures with evasion. It's got flying on it. And there are 3 of those in the deck. Live, I think that is. Sky Knight. Another creature with flying. Also detain when it enters the battlefield. Sunspy Gatekeepers. Puts a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance into the battlefield if you control 2 or more gates when that enters the battlefield. So there's a cycle of gatekeepers within the Dragon's Maze set, and there's 2 of those. Soulsworn Spirits, this is unblockable and has detain when it enters the battlefield. Azorius Justicar, so you can detain up to 2 target creatures your opponents control when this enters the battlefield. Ascended Law Mage, multicolour white-blue, flying hexproof. 2 of those. We've got a Sphinx in the deck. There's also got flying and vigilance. It's a 1/5, so it's sort of lopsided towards defence. Whenever Gillian Sphincter attacks, other attacking creatures get +1/+1 until end of turn. There's 2 of those, so it's got a pump spell attached to it. That will be all our creatures. We're now moving on to the mana base. We've got, as I've said, we've got 4 Azorius Guildgate, which is going to help you with your white-blue combination here. Then we've got our planes in the deck, and you can see from the symbol the artwork for this is coming from the Return to Ravnica set, which you often find with some of the other sets in the block. They will sort of borrow the artwork from the very first set in the block. And then we move on to our islands. So far we've seen lots of creatures with enter the battlefield detain on them, and a good smattering of flying as well. Okay, so now we move on to our non-creature spells. So we've got Leaves Decree. So this is a detain spell. So that can detain up to 2 target creatures until that your opponent controls. So opponent's control. 2 of those. We've got an Azorius Cluestone here. So this is additional fixing in the set. So you can tap this and add white or blue to your mana pool. It does cost 3 colourless to cast originally, but also for a cost of white and blue you can tap it and sacrifice it and then use it to draw a card. So you can sort of replace it if it no longer is useful for fixing mana. So there's 2 of those. We've got a rest in here, so that's going to enchant a creature, lock it down so it can't attack or block, and activated abilities can't be activated. Avenging Arrow. So we got creature removal, but only if it was a creature that dealt damage this turn, and there's 2 of those. Righteous Charge, pump spell, gives creatures you control 2/2. 2 of those. Restore the Peace. So this is a bounce spell, conditional bounce spell. So what it will do is it will return each creature that dealt damage this turn to its owner's hand. You can see here there's a lot of conditional removal and conditional bounce in the set. Martial Law. you know, as opposed to straight removal. Martial Law is an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, detain target creature and opponent controls. So that will keep on detaining. That's a permanent that will stay on the battlefield unless it's removed. Then we've got one of these fuse cards. So if you've not seen these before, it's a split card, but a split card with a difference in that you can actually cast both sides of the card if you play the combined mana cost. So for 2 and a white you get to protect, so the target creature gets +2/+4 until end of turn, and for 1 and a blue you get to serve, which target creature gets -6, -0 until end of turn. And for the fuse ability just means that you may cast one or both. So if you chose to cast both, then that will be 2 white. So it's combined 3 colourless, white and a blue, think of it that way, and you would get to cast both. So there we have the Azorius Authority deck. So you can see a sort of theme running through here with the detain ability being used to lock down opponent's creatures, so you can sort of go through with damage, and obviously flyers so they can evade and get through that way. So next what we'll do is open the boosters. And see what we have in white and blue and colours. So we've got we've got a Dimir Clue Stone. So this is a clue stone for blue and black. All the clue stones are identical in terms of what they do, it's just the colours are different. A Tithe Drinker, white and black. Hazardous Snare Squad, so that we could, you know, increase our complement of hazardous snare squads if we wanted to. Maze Behemoth, so this is a part of the maze cycle, which is also a cycle in this set, and these all affect multicoloured creatures. Mind Static, counter target spells, unless its controller pays 6, that's for 3 and a blue. Simic Clue Stone, another clue stone, this one's green-blue. Punish the Enemy. Deputy of Acquittals. So this we could use in the decks. White, blue, flash. When a Deputy of Acquittals enters the battlefield, you may return another target creature you control to its owner's hand. So you get to bounce your own creatures, which means if they've got Enter the Battlefield on them, they're quite handy, because then when you cast them again, that triggers, obviously. Gruul Clue Stone for red and green. Crypt Incursion. Get to exile all creature cards from target player's graveyard. No good for us because it's black. Showstopper, 1 black red. So we're moving on to our uncommons now. Gleam of Battle is 4 red white. We've got Turn and Burn, which is another fuse card, but that's in blue and red. And our rare is Pontiff of Blight. So this is a 2 black for a 2/7. It's got Extort on it, so whenever you cast a spell you may play white black. If you do, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain that much life. Other creatures you control have Extort as well. And as is the case with the guild, this particular set, the Dragon's Maze, instead of the land you're going to get a guild gate. So here's one for black red, not in our colours. And then just a promotional card there. So let me just isolate the stuff that we could use in this deck if we really wanted to. Obviously in theory we could use one of the clue stones to splash something, but I don't know if that's such a good idea. Okay. So a couple of cards there. Let's see what we can find in our second booster. Okay, so first up we have Hidden Strings in blue. So we can use this to tap or untap a target permanent, and you may tap or untap another target permanent. It's also got Cipher on it, which means you can exile the spell card encoded on a creature you control. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player, its creature may cast a copy of the encoded card without paying its mana cost. So what happens is you're effectively encoding this spell on a creature, and it gets you able to basically reuse that spell. Ubos are gatekeepers, so that's another one of the gatekeeper cycle. Nivix Cyclops, another clue stone, blue-red, Mutant's Prey, Steeple Rock. So this is a 4 and a white for a 3/1. It has flying and first strike on it. Maze Abomination, another one of the maze cycle. We've also got a maze glider. So this is in blue, 5 and a blue, 3/5. Flying, multicolored creatures you control have flying. So any multicolored creatures in our deck, if we want to use this in our deck, we could give them flying if they don't already have it, if this was in play. Now it's 5 and a blue, so admittedly it would come in, after turn 6, 7 maybe. The format can be a bit slow because, the mana fixing that might be used here, the Guildgate, they come into play tapped, so, again, just be aware that stuff may be coming out slightly later turn-wise than maybe in faster sets. Rakdos Cluestone, black-red. Ceruli Gatekeepers is in green. We've got a Carnage Gladiator, that's uncommon. Flower Animist, red-green. Wear and Tear, another fuse card. Okay, so nice rare here. It's a legendary creature, Tajik Blade of the Legion, 2 red-white. Legendary creature, human soldier. Tajik Blade of the Legion is indestructible. Battalion, whenever Tajik and at least 2 other creatures attack, Tajik gets +5/+5 until end of turn, and it's a 2/2 normally. And then we have a Gruul Guildgate replacing our normal land. And then just a advert there. So in this deck, and again, like I said, you could splash stuff using the gates. We have in blue I missed that. Maze Glider, Steeple Rock in white, and Hidden Strings there. That's been an interesting card because it's some of the other cards in the deck did have a sort of tapping down theme to them, and with this you get it to cipher as well, so you can reuse that. Okay, so there we have it. We've got the 2 boosters. So some interesting cards in those that would complement the deck, although nothing particularly bomby in blue and white in those, but useful nonetheless. And then also our deck, our Azorius Authority deck. Okay, thanks for watching.